around the guidance of the cards to bring through the messages that we need to see and hear and learn and understand. We thank you for the wisdom that these cards have to share. And thank you for letting me be the vessel to channel these messages through. So tonight I pulled a past, present, and future card. And for our past card, I pulled the reversed Lovers. So you can probably already guess what this card means. Things have been upside down in the world of relationships. Yeah, it makes sense. You know, Mercury just went direct, but has been in retrograde for the past 3 weeks in the sign of Libra. And if you don't know a lot about Mercury retrograde, just know that during Mercury retrograde, people from our past tend to come up. And typically this is kind of like ex-lovers, romantic partners, but it can also be friends and family and everything else. But Mercury retrograde being in Libra, the sign of love, the sign of relationships, the sign of Venus, there's very much this like people from our past coming up. We also have had Uranus in retrograde, and towards the end of September, Uranus was opposite of Venus. And when that happens, there's also a lot of conflict in relationship world. So did you notice the breakups and divorces and conscious uncouplings that have happened over the past month? I know at least of 3 that I witnessed, but you may have even, experienced that with yourself. You might have had a breakup in a relationship or splitting apart of some sort of friendship or relationship. Know that this is for your growth right now, and that, whatever, maybe you haven't had any breakup, but know that what you're witnessing on the collective relationships that are splitting apart, this doesn't have to be romantic. This can be business partnerships and things like that. But anytime we have these breakups of relationships that are happening on the collective, we know that it's for change and for transformation. And we're going through a great transformation on Earth right now. So I'm not surprised that we're having to reanalyze our relationships and look at things in a different way. If you've had anything come up from your past over the past few weeks in regards to people in your life, it's time to simply reflect on those relationships and look at what you need to do with them. Maybe you need to set a boundary with them. Maybe you need to bring that relationship closer, cultivate more love within it, or maybe you need to cut the cord and release the relationship completely. For the present card, oh, by the way, Libra is on, Gemini is on this card. And I also wanted to mention that this whole Venus cycle that we're in right now, the 19-month Venus cycle, is in the sign of Gemini. So when we are in the energy of Gemini, we're looking at others like a mirror. So when you look at these relationships from your past, the ones that haven't worked out, can you almost look at it like you're looking at yourself in a mirror? Can you look at that other person and see what you projected onto them? Can you look at that other person and see what they reflected back onto you? I think a lot of times when we look at the relationships in our life that didn't work out and really look at them from that lens of like looking at ourselves in the mirror, we can start to see that it wasn't all their fault. Like a lot of times our ego wants to stand in the way, but things can be our fault too. So any relationships that are coming up right now, just in your memories or things that are coming back around, you might want to take a look at how you were reacting in that relationship as well as they were, in order to make sure you're doing the right thing around the relationship moving forward. Okay. For the present card, I pulled the Hermit. And it's funny, I feel like I always pull this card when there's some sort of aspect about our health. So first off, you need to see that he looks like he's all alone, right? This vagabond traveler, he's in the darkness, but he carries his own light and he carries his own staff. And notice the snake wrapped around the staff. This can be representative of our Kundalini, our internal energy that works up through our chakras to help us feel more aligned. This hermit is going through the shadowlands, going through the shadow work. And I mentioned that shadow season is coming. We, as I said, with this Aries full moon, we have to spark our own light. We have to light our own fire. Because when we get down in the darkness and we're doing all of this hard work by ourselves and we're trying to heal these traumas and emotional wounds, it's going to take us cultivating our own inner light, our own love, our own attitude of appreciation, gratitude, and acceptance in order to rise back up out of that darkness. Now, of course, this also means that you've got to take time to be a hermit. You've got to take time for yourself. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, anxious, heightened in your energy with this full moon, it's not a good time to socialize. If you've been easily triggered, easily angered, if you have like a higher temperament right now, not a time to be outside and be social. Take time for yourself. Do some of that ujjayi pranayama. Take time in meditation, reflection. Write out your gratitude journal, write out your dream journal, make a vision board, but start doing all of these practices with yourself to help you continue to evolve, to help you to continue to cultivate your light, and to help you to shine that light as you move through the darkness that's coming up over the next few months. For the future, 4 of Cups. Very similar to the reverse Lovers, right? 4 of Cups. Cups are a symbol of our emotion. We have some emotional processing to do. Number 4 is our 4th energy center, heart chakra. We have some emotional processing to do around the heart, and that's going to be continuing to come up. It's going to continue to come up over the next several months, actually. I think this card is telling us that really over the next few months as we go through the shadow season, right? So we have to also take into account that in the future, we might continue to have some relationships that don't work out. We might have some matters of the heart that we need to address. We might deal with a broken heart. We might deal with loss. I think that we are going to see more loss over the next few months as we go through winter and we go through another round of this pandemic, right? Doesn't necessarily have to mean a bad thing. This 4 of Cups is also saying, hey, like separate yourself a little bit from your ego, process the emotions, alchemize the emotions, and stop falling blame to the victim, because you're not a victim. Everything that you go through, even these matters of the heart, just make you stronger. Every time your heart breaks, it makes it softer. It breaks that hardening of the shell. So find the softness in the experiences that you go through in the future and trust that, again, they're part of the growing pains and they're for your evolutionary greater good. So just to recap, past card, reversed lovers. We've had a lot of shakeups and breakups in the relationship world, in the romantic world. We may also have people from our past coming up, either romantic or not. And it's time to analyze all of those relationships, find the gold in them, find what you can be grateful for, and also find the lesson and decide what you need to do with the relationship moving forward. And also don't let these relationships from the past that are no longer affecting you continue to impact you, right? Like let them go because they're no longer serving you, to attach those thoughts to that. We also have the Hermit card for our present card, reminding us to take time for ourselves, self-care practices, self-healing practices. We're also in this Ashwini Nakshatra, ruled by the Ashwini Kumar, the physicians to the gods. It's a time to get a hold of our health, make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, and make sure that we're holding a really positive light and attitude so that we're in a good space as we start to journey through the darkness of the upcoming shadow season. And then finally, for the future, the 4 of Cups says we have some emotional processing in the heart. We've got heart stuff coming up. We need to focus on it, pay attention to it, and make sure that we're not letting any of this get to the best of us. Make sure that we're continuing to cultivate our heart chakra frequency and really let it beat out as we move forward into the future.